Emily and the Cuttlefish Game. Chapter 1, Fortify or Die. My name is Emily, and I woke up inside a novel. Not just any novel, a murder novel. I have 3 days before a killer unleashes a blood-soaked rampage through this apartment building. He even left a note on my nightstand. "You're my favorite, can't wait." I glanced around my apartment. Rotting door, cracked windows, oversized wardrobe, exposed bathroom drain. I picked up my phone and called a contractor. If I'm stuck in here, then this apartment is about to become a bank vault. If that killer can break in, I'll admit defeat. After falling into this story, I tried calling the cops. Then I tried leaving the apartment. Both failed. It's like there's an invisible force keeping me trapped. A narrative wall, maybe. Plot armor turned inside out. I took a moment to feel sorry for myself. Then I got over it. I checked my bank balance, enough for a full renovation. So I called 5 different companies. If I can't escape, then no one's getting in. This is one of those twist-heavy, paranoia-fueled thrillers where no one can be trusted. The killer lurks in the building, always watching. The neighbors, shady. The friends, full of secrets. The original story stopped right at the twist, when the protagonist realized everyone around her was lying. I remember cursing the author for ending on such a brutal cliffhanger. Now that I've become that protagonist, I'd love to crawl into the author's head and demand the truth. But that's pointless. I can't control the killer, the neighbors, or the so-called friends. But this apartment? That I can handle. First, the doors and windows. I hired 5 different companies, each from a different city. Top dollar, next day installation, bank vault grade materials only. Why 5 companies? Because I'm paranoid, I've read too many thrillers to trust a single contractor. I know how easily a killer could slip in as a fake installer, plant a camera, or carve out a hidden passage. So I randomized the teams. Company A and B handled the front door. Companies C, D, and E acted as supervisors. Then for the windows, C and D did the installations. A, B, and E handled oversight. I even used a deck of cards to shuffle the order each time, minimizing the chances that any 2 employees would get too comfortable. And I didn't take my eyes off them for a second. Floorboards? Ripped up, reinforced, sealed. Ceilings? Gutted, checked for crawl spaces. The bedroom closet? Too deep. Out it went. The bed frame? Big enough for someone to hide under? Gone. I sleep on a mattress now, on the floor. And before you ask if that's enough? Of course not. I called the police, not to report a crime, but to have them sweep the place for hidden cameras, listening devices, and secret compartments. 2 uniformed officers arrived. I checked their badge numbers against the local precinct's website before letting them in. They swept the place. Flashlights under the sink. Infrared across the ceiling. No bugs, no wires, no strangers in the vents. I watched them leave. The place felt secure, but only an amateur stops there. I needed eyes on the door. Anyone who's read even one thriller knows that surveillance footage is never trustworthy. All it takes is one crooked installer, one misplaced cable, or one hidden loophole, and you're as blind as the first girl to die in a slasher flick. So I hired 9 security companies. I split them into 3 groups of 3. One company installed the cameras, the other 2 acted as supervisors. Then I rotated the roles. Before they even touched my walls, I cross-checked their employee photos. In case someone tried to sneak in from a previous job, each camera placement was mine to decide. I supervised Group 1 in person. Group 2 got instructions, but I watched them from the cameras Group 1 had just installed. Group 3 never even knew where the other lenses were. 6 ultra-hidden cameras, no blind spots. Only 4 people on Earth know where they are, and I'm 3 of them. Still think that's enough? Of course not. What if the killer, after failing to break in, decides to burn the whole building down out of spite? I hired 3 more companies, separate from the ones I'd already used, to install automatic sprinkler systems in the ceiling. Heat sensors, pressure-sensitive burst triggers, the whole deal. But even that wouldn't stop a real blaze, not one that could take out an entire building. So I called the fire department, had every flammable item in my unit flagged and cleared. No candles, no aerosol cans, no faulty wires, no flammable curtains, nothing. And I mean nothing. Just in case, I bought 5 fire extinguishers, 3 gas masks, and a collapsible ladder. Something I could hook onto the window frame if I needed a quick exit. So now I'm fireproof, right? Please, not even close. With all the noise I'm making, someone's bound to notice. So before the renovation started, I roped off the front of my apartment, caution tape, blackout curtains over the peephole and window. If they want to know what I'm doing, they'll have to guess. But even with all these defenses, there's a loophole. What if they figure out my fire alarm and sprinkler system? What if they trigger the sprinklers, then block the door or the windows, letting the place fill up with water? What if they try to drown me? Don't laugh. Survival means imagining things that sound crazy. So I bought 20 oxygen tanks. Worst case scenario, I can sit underwater and breathe for 48 hours. Still think this is enough? Of course not. A fortress means nothing if you starve to death in it. What if the killer's patient? What if he traps me inside and waits? What if he cuts the power? Cuts the water? Congratulations. You're a woman-shaped can of soup. I stocked 3 months of supplies, 400 pounds of rice and flour, freeze-dried meat and vegetables, water jugs stacked to the ceiling, first aid kits, batteries, solar chargers, and because I am deeply unwell, I bought 3 live quail and set up an indoor hydroponic garden. Everything was delivered curbside. I carried every box up the stairs myself, every pound of it, sweating, breathing hard, not stopping. Then I grabbed the handheld metal detector and scanned every bag, box, and bundle. What if a delivery guy was replaced? What if one of my neighbors planted something? I scanned every inch, twice. Everything was clean. Next, I had 4 different companies install solar generators in my spare bedroom. I had each company come at a different time. No one saw the full setup. After they left, I inspected every unit myself, checking for hidden cameras, wireless transmitters, or hidden trackers. All clear. I took a nap. Then I went back out. Because you think just having power and food makes me safe? Please, you clearly don't read the same novels I do. Anyone who's read a halfway decent thriller knows that killers love to cut off communication. Signal jammers, network disruptors, EMPs. I wasn't gonna get caught like that. So I bought 2 satellite phones. Rugged, military-grade, water-resistant. If the killer starts his monologue, I'll be watching from behind the peephole with a satellite connection in one hand and 911 on speed dial in the other. Most people's fear in these stories comes from one thing. They're not armed. I didn't make that mistake. 1 aluminum baseball bat, 1 tactical machete, 1 hay hook, 1 riot shield, 1 stun baton, 2 pump-action shotguns with slugs and buckshot, 1 compact handgun, .45 caliber with a suppressor, 1 bolt-action rifle, scoped. I skipped the chainsaw. Fun fact, most modern electric models have safety shutoffs if they detect fabric or soft tissue. Totally useless in a fight. So, pass. Do I plan on using these? No. But do I plan on not having them? Absolutely not. Let's say all this prep still fails. Let's say this killer isn't human. You think I didn't plan for that? I didn't just fortify, I diversified. I visited 10 different spiritual supply shops across 3 counties, Wiccan altars, botanicas, Korean shamanic goods stores, Himalayan crystal pop-ups, and 1 deeply uncomfortable phone call to a Santeria priest's Etsy shop. I bought 1,000 protective prayer scrolls, salt and obsidian, garlic by the kilo, crosses, crucifixes, and holy water, Palo Santo, sage bundles, and a Tibetan singing bowl, red thread, black candles, and something the shop owner just called Banishing Mix number 7. And because no horror story ever starts with, we had too many languages of protection spells, I printed psalms in Latin, sutras in Chinese, mantras in Sanskrit, blessings in Yoruba, and a full-page scan of a Mesopotamian ward against death spirits, laminated. All tested for surveillance tech, all labeled, all sorted by continent of origin. I might not be a believer, but belief isn't the point. I'm not giving the unknown an opening. I booted up my tablet, downloaded 30 shows, 1,000 books, half the Library of Congress, even grabbed the entire box set of The West Wing and Law & Order, SVU. Because if I'm going to wait out a demon killer conspiracy from the safety of a self-made bunker, I'll need something to binge between battles. Paranoia burns calories. Streaming restores them. Once everything was in place, I closed the curtains, lay down on my mattress, and slept for the rest of the afternoon. The sun set, the sky darkened. The killer was coming.